November 1st, 2024. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined by Flobo Boyce.
Woo!
And look, I'm trying to get excited about SmackDown tonight. It's a pre-tape show.
Yeah.
It's the night before Crown Jewel. But I got to be honest, Baron Corbin is not having his contract renewed by WWE.
That's true. One of your favorites, actually. And alongside Tegan Knox and Indy Hartwell as well.
I know. And I feel for Tegan and Indy. Yeah, Baron, it's just crazy. It was funny. I did that tweet just listing like the accolades, and you were pointing out, like, I forgot, like, dude did so much in WWE. Not everything worked, but he made stuff work more often than not. And
True.
I'm just bummed that we're not getting another chapter in this saga. I've been wondering because he's been teaming with Apollo, like he hasn't been doing as much, and I just kept thinking, man, they're gonna cook up something good for him next. I'm curious to see what the next phase is, and it's like, it's unemployment. That's the next phase.
Unfortunately, there's no good time to let people go because, I mean, it's the holidays, and then after holidays is WrestleMania season and all that. And Corbin, I feel like, was one of the many people who have the curse of the workhorse. If you're just good at what you do and you slot them in, it's easy to be taken for granted. So Kim is a shock, but I understand there's so much talent now. Someone's going to get squeezed out.
And my first thought was, this is another Drake Maverick situation. We're getting bum-ass Corbin 2.0. Messing around with the lines between kayfabe and reality.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Cool.
But no, apparently not.
Apparently not. Where's Bobby Lashley? Did you not watch Dynamite this week?
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley's on AEW, Sacco. I'm not sure.
And who knows, Baron Corbin could make his way over there.
There's also TNA as well.
True.
Or Impact. No, TNA.
But that's got to be weird. I talked about this before, like with the NXT TNA crossover. I don't want them to deny an opportunity to like Ash by Elegance or Nick Nemeth or whatnot, but I also don't like the idea that like WWE cuts talents to go to work for TNA for less than WWE gets them back on the cheap. Like that also bugs me.
I mean, that's the most corporate thing you think of, right? Know, I used to work for Fox Broadcasting as an employee, and then they just basically put me in a second party company to skirt the insurance laws. And that's just what companies do. But I will say this though, if you are on the way out of WWE and you want to be on good terms, it actually, not saying you can't go to AEW and come back, but if you're not one of the made men, you might as well go anywhere else but AEW. And why not go to a place that's on TV?
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, Indy Hartwell, amazing run in NXT. Dexter Lumis storyline, all-timer for NXT storylines. Part of the family with Johnny Gargano, Austin Theory, Candice LeRae. I felt like on the main roster, aside from supporting Candice, they never really knew what they were doing with her.
Yeah, it was interesting. You know what I mean? Like you had one of the few instances of a storyline going over to NXT and be considered canon with the Dexter Lumis thing, and both Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell couldn't find anything. And about a month ago, they brought back Candice LeRae. I had forgotten about both of them as a pair. So it looks like they're just cleaning house a bit.
Well, and then Tegan Knox, I felt like her partnership with Dakota Kai was very interesting in NXT, but then due to injury and I almost just want to say like bad timing for a time of change for the NXT women's division, that like in the post Asuka era, pre where we are the last 2 years, they held it down. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely. But I don't feel like just feel like the timing was off, both in NXT and on the main roster.
I feel like she came at the tail end of the superhero worship era of mid-teens wrestling. Like Johnny Gargano is also trying to struggle to find his footing. Injuries are going to happen. She's on her 4th ACL, but coming back, becoming more like that, like the Captain Marvel influenced character did not work. And then she was featured sporadically. So even if a character doesn't work, you're not even giving the fans a chance to latch onto it. And that's always going to be the death knell, right? But hopefully she recovers,
No, I know. But allegedly, according to Fightful, this is it for releases for now of in front of the camera talent.
Tegan was brought back though in the Papa H era, which was interesting to me. I mean, she was let go in the 2020 layoffs, and she got brought back. So I thought there'd be something planned for her. But
well, and that was my kind of reaction with Corbin, where it was like Corbin Look, I understand that Triple H with NXT inherited and adopted, like the Tyler Breezes of the world and people that were already in developmental. But I feel like Corbin was a Triple H kid, and he got over with Vince and the higher ups on the main roster as well. Like with Corbin, that's where it's surprising to me because he is part of that first wave of the Papa H training.
Yeah, you're gonna. I mean, look, I don't claim to be an insider. I'm the most outside guy there is. I'm just a guy with the podcast, y'all. But those Gen 1 Triple H projects are on their way out. If you'll notice, the ones that are getting featured now are, I guess, the kids, right? The second wave, the Shawn Michaels NXT, like the Carmelos and, and the Meta Girls. And I just think that's just an issue. But I thought Baron Corbin as being, not saying everyone's a lifer now, but I thought if anyone that could put 15, 20 years in the WWE system would be someone like Baron Corbin. This wasn't the case.
Well, and that's part of it too, is that I wonder, they just said they're not renewing his contract or they couldn't come to terms or whatever. But I also wonder, I just can't imagine that they wouldn't have shown an interest based on what he did with Braun Breaker in saying to him, we see your future behind the scenes. Like, we're going to give you some stuff, but we think you could be really valuable in terms of working with these next generation of NIL, because he was a collegiate athlete, had experience in the NFL. Like, I just don't see where and maybe he didn't want to do that. Maybe we'll find out once he's free and clear and starts doing interviews, but I just can't imagine that, they wouldn't have said to him, we see some value with you at the PC in addition to making on-camera appearances.
Yeah, you don't get to be this long in a roster if you can't contribute. Like, let's be real. Yeah. Like, Baron Corbin can't contribute, and he will contribute again. But I'm sure, I'm not saying this is the way they're doing it is, but as a company gets bigger, it's maybe more people crunching numbers going, hey, look, people are buying more Obafemi merchandise, or maybe we haven't seen any uptick when you're on camera the last 4 times. We're going to make a decision. And sometimes decisions aren't just, you suck. I think Baron Corbin's great, but the show has to move on the way it can. It's almost like SNL in their cast every year.
Yes. But someone has to be the Phil Hartman or the Daryl Hammond who just stays there. I mean, Keenan, how long has Keenan been there?
I think 21 seasons. He's the longest tenured.
Keenan's been there like half his life almost. Maybe more than half his life.
Yeah,
at this point. So why not? I thought that was going to be Breeze in NXT.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I thought Braun Strowman would have been someone who would never get let go,
Yeah. I think the burn the ships thing flew over people's heads. Like, hey, I was this gimmick guy that had a lot of stuff, and now my new thing is I have no gimmick. That might have been a mistake.
It wasn't, but not his fault. Like, his presentation was great of the I'm going to strip down to the core. The problem with wrestling now is that we're pretty much shedding characters, not in a bad way. Yeah, there's a Pretty Deadly, or there's a Gunther, but everyone's doing the whole I'm an athlete thing. So you're saying no more Mr. Nice Guy, I'm now an athlete. We go, well, I mean, you did have mustard on your shirt for a whole year, dude. Are you sure? You know what I mean?
But then he paired up with Braun and was wearing the wolf head, and that was great.
Yeah, but he was a victim of Braun's rise. Like, I felt like if Braun didn't work, they're like, okay, let's keep you guys together. But they needed Braun away from everyone to be the unpredictable badass.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, we'll see. I'm just bummed about this. It's like it's weird when, I mean, you kind of get used to wrestlers on TV just as part of the mix, and it's like I find Baron Corbin like comfort food.
Oh yeah. I mean, the French audience loves them.
What else is in the news?
Well, officially, we have some things the Wrestling Inc. news desk, but let's start with the one that's actually having ripple effects in the women's division. Rhea Ripley's eye injury, kayfabe sustained in the NXT parking lot on Tuesday, because of course everyone was going to Orlando in October, is legit, and it looks like Rhea Ripley will be off the shelf for indefinite number of time. This is her second major injury over the past year. Of course, she's with the shoulder, and her popping that shoulder back in and out at SummerSlam. Rhea Ripley, tough as nails, but it's going to be on the shelf.
That really sucks.
It sure does.
No, I mean, I was like, I don't know what to say, but it's just like, and meanwhile, sorry, this is where I start mixing kayfabe. Like, It's like
What is kayfabe?
because in kayfabe I want to be like, meanwhile, Dom's out there living his best life. What fairness is there in the universe? And I'm like, Dom, that's
Technically legit. I mean, he is out there.
I know, but that's insensitive to say because the reality of it is for real. Like, man, Rhea has had an amazing. You want to talk about like just an amazing couple years. I just hate to see people get momentum stifled.
True. Yeah, I mean, your friend or your colleague Nikita Lions is back on her third or fourth run due to injuries, and hopefully this one's long term too. Stopping an injury, they can only leave a space for you so many times, right? Like one long term injury, like if you're Stone Cold, if you're Randy Orton, but if it becomes a pattern, then they might have to make plans without you. I don't think Rhea Ripley is quite there yet, but it's a freak accident, man. It's unfortunate to happen to her now, but rather I have it now than say like in March, right before WrestleMania or something.
Yeah, I mean, she's had so many high points. They're not gonna cut Rhea. Like,
It's not about cutting.
Not,
There's like opening the show and have you backstage.
Yeah. It's just tough. But that's the thing, man. It's like, speaking of Nikita, I think every Nikita Lions fan is watching her matches now and just like, it's like tepid excitement. It's like, it's good that she's back, but at the same time, it's like, man, please do not land wrong, have a move, be more damaging, be like shoot damaging. Like it's stressful. You stress for the talents.
Sure. Don't do any splits. I remember when Big E was out for 6 weeks with a torn meniscus, and Big E, when he wrestles, was one of the few wrestlers who doesn't wrestle with knee pads. And so I'm like, yo, E, what are you doing? Think about your knees, baby.
Yeah. But then again, like Bryan Danielson got back in the ring. Didn't have to do it in bubble wrap. Went out there, did his style.
True.
No issues.
Yeah, but there is that window where we go, I don't know. Like,
yeah, it's stressful.
You look at, okay, not to use her as an example, but both Tegan Knox and Dakota Kai have had ACL injuries. And Dakota Kai, I didn't feel that window was a lot smaller because Tegan Knox already was on her third ACL when she got called to the main roster. I was like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? And I always felt for her. But I think if Nikita, in her specific example, stops doing as many splits in a match, she should be fine.
Well, she's got potentially the new finisher. We saw a new finisher.
Yes, please. I look again. I like the idea of someone who's built like a powerhouse being a striker, but you don't have to do all the kicks. you can do some moves and holds, baby.
It wasn't the splits that hurt her though. I mean, Blair Davenport came down on the knee the last time, and it's just like yeah. Crazy, man. But I mean, this stuff happens in the NFL all the time. It's just they've got more players and not everyone is a name. Injuries happen in sports and sports entertainment and stunts.
It does. Yeah. I'm not sure if you watch The Athletic, or I'm not trying to get promote them or anything, but they have a very fascinating series called TIFO. They talk about soccer players and talk about how there's a rise of ACL injuries and knee injuries, but one that proportionally affects women more than men. And the answer is nature and nurture. But what I'm saying is sports injuries do happen. It's not a death sentence as it used to be, but I will say you can't fault a crowd that forgets about you if you're not already a made person when you come back.
True. But no, I'm curious why it's happening more.
Oh, it's nature versus nurture. So on one hand, the nature is that the structure of the legs are different because women typically bear children. But the nature side of it is that facilities are almost never as good as male facilities across sports. So that's kind of a sexism thing as well. So
that's all. I mean, we can't get RFK Jr. to look into this and figure out.
I don't have his number. Do you?
I mean, I think, he might, never mind. I'm not getting into this. What else is going on in the news?
Well, filed this one under, I think this is news, but Wrestling Inc. says I have to mention this. Yeah, I have to. They send me an email and I do it. The WWE ID program, if you're familiar, was announced this week. They're going to have an affiliation with some of the independent promotions like Knox Pro here in Los Angeles, the Nightmare Factory. There's some independent wrestlers already under contract. This one comes from Post Wrestling. We don't really have a list of those who are under contract with the WWE ID system. So instead of me asking to speculate who you think this might be, let me ask you this. Thoughts about the ID system? Is it good or bad for the business?
It's crazy that OVW is not on there, right?
And why should they?
Why should they? Well, I don't know. I mean, I would argue after the Netflix series, they're one of the most famous up and coming are places for upcoming wrestlers in the United States right now.
Yeah.
No, there were just some interesting omissions, there. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, you got talent. You got schools really run by current talent, which I mean, I think they will have a thing. And Knox Pro has a lot. I mean, that's one here in Los Angeles has some things, but I mean, you're right. I'm not really sure what WWE ID means. I understand it helps the business because you can formulate what the American art form of wrestling is through this talent. But I wonder this, will it either hurt the business by saying, hey, look, you're not affiliated, I'm not going to sign up for your school? Or will it help the business where if anyone who's ever worked for one of these companies can say, hey, come to my seminar downtown.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was a Nightmare Factory for a weekend.
That's why, so like Lance Storm, not on there. Tyler Breeze's school, not on there.
Heath Slater's.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like there are some things where I'm just like, because, okay, so what I don't like about this is that it's WWE for up and coming wrestling talent. It is them picking winners and losers. Because if you decide tomorrow that you want to step in the ring finally and take some bumps.
I did once, I quit.
Yeah, no, I've thought this ever since the first season of Tough Enough. I would take one bump on my back and just sit there and I would sound like, remember the lady that slipped when she was stomping grapes? That would be me in the ring after taking one back bump.
You're more graceful than that.
No, I'm afraid that's how it would feel.
No, I'm with you because look, again, using Los Angeles as an example, for a long time, if I wanted to be a wrestler, I had Santino Brothers contact information in my phone. Yeah. But Knox Pro is also in Los Angeles now. If I would decide to be a wrestler, well, that changed the business for the worse. Or if you're Santino's, you're not affiliated, then you make it your effort to shake the hands of a Knox Pro to work together.
Yes.
And lastly, tonight here in the news desk, this one goes around a man by the name of Alfred Mancinelli. Alfred Mancinelli has had a tough time with a supposed alleged fake relationship with professional wrestler Alexa Bliss. Here is someone who's been scammed and who thought that he was in a relationship with the competitor who has already given her close to roughly $1 million in gifts and financial compensation for his supposed girlfriend. Turns out he was just a victim to the fact that even members of his family are trying to tell him otherwise, but he's still doubling down on that. And so Alexa Bliss, as of this reporting, has not responded to this, but she has made some claims in the past before to say, hey guys, I'm the only Alexa Bliss. I'm happily married. I'm not in any illegal relationships. Please check the DMs.
I have some thoughts. If anyone out there is getting into an online relationship, you're going to start sending people money, DM me, and I will give you some pointers to kind of suss out if this is legit or not. At least I'm not saying don't do it,
But if I want, okay, so let's say I was dating you, all right?
Okay.
Sorry, ladies. And if you date someone long enough, they're usually going to ask for money, right? Hey, I'm having a bad day. Let me go to get a Starbucks card. Hey, I'm trying to struggle my rent. You have any cash? It just always happens. I'm always more poor when I'm dating somebody. You know what I'm saying?
When I was a sugar baby, I would like to,
hey, yo,
if they're like, baby needs to pick me up, Glenn, here's $20, go buy yourself something pretty. I'm taking photos and a video and I'm like, hey, thanks for the pick me up. My day's brightened. I appreciate you. Make sure not to use their name though, because that way you can use it for multiple sugar daddies.
I'm taking notes.
So that way, like everything's sweetheart, baby. You got to keep it, but at least I'm showing some love. I'm showing some proof on video so they know it's not a Glenn impersonator trying to catfish them. That's very important.
I understand that, but when you are impersonating a public figure, there's enough content out there you can like cobble things together and make it look like behind the scenes and be like, see, this is me having coffee.
I mean, maybe drop the name. Maybe, like you could do some things.
The newspaper? Yeah. Today is November 1st and I'm having a call. Thanks, babe.
I don't know. Like be specific. Never, I'm not getting it. Anyhow, if you find yourself in this situation, you DM me. I'll give you some pointers to make sure that you're not getting taken.
All right.
Like at least that it's the real person you're dealing with. There are things, there are ways. FaceTime is the thing. And you could just be like, oh, I accidentally hit that button on my phone when I was calling you. Yeah, I didn't mean to make a FaceTime call. I thought this was just audio, and now I'm seeing you.
Yeah.
You know,
is this a free service you're offering? Or have to pay you too?
I'm offering this to the wrestling community to make sure y'all don't get taken. I'm not saying, look, if you decide you want to make a financial element to the relationships in your life, I'm not one to judge. I'm just saying, you know, protect yourself and make sure at least you know you're involved with the person you think you're involved with.
I'm bearing the lead here. How do you have $1 million to lose? Like I have never seen $1 million.
These boomers, Flobo, this is why they got all the wealth and they kept it all from themselves. You know, they were sure they'll send it to Alexa Bliss,
right?
But you know, they won't leave it in their estate for their children.
Yeah, man, get yourself a trust.
Seriously. And GM0 is a point. It's going to become wider with AI videos and voice being easier to produce. That's why you hit that FaceTime button and you're like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. You know, so that way at least you get some glimpses and make sure it's the person, because you can't real time AI yet. So for now, that's how you protect yourself.
I just feel like the whole world's more lonely, man.
It's weird. It's strange. Who are we to judge? People find happiness and companionship where they
I have a wrestling podcast. All I do is judge, like for hours every week.
He's like, I have a wrestling podcast. If money wasn't involved in my relationships, I'd be very lonely.
Right. Let's be real. No, it's just, I hear you, man. We all want to be loved.
It's so like the world we live in is so strange. I'm like, I've talked about this on this podcast before. I am so glad that I partnered up pre-social media, or like early days of social media. Like I got out the single game right at the perfect time. No swipe culture, none of that. You know, I don't know how the kids do it these days.
I'm struggling, man. Alexa Bliss, I got money. No, in all seriousness, you don't want to be able to be catfish. I get that. And I understand that sometimes you say it won't happen to you, but then you find that right combination when you get duped and it kind of feels bad. But I just feel like, man, if your family's trying to give you the intervention, as it says here, and you still go behind their back and go, you don't understand, then that's an issue, because, I mean, who can pull you out?
Some Stockholm syndrome stuff. And I do think, I do think though, and this definitely was exacerbated by the pandemic, I do think there is a low-key epidemic of loneliness amongst people, and it's not male or female. I just think there's an escape that people are looking for to not feel so alone. Mm-hmm. And in all realness, like, this is a very sad story. And I just hope that, the lonely people can find one another, and there's a special place in hell for anyone that's taking advantage of people's loneliness.
Yeah. Mic drop. That's it for news, by the way.
I mean, this is all way more interesting than SmackDown was.
Oh, we got to put the promo tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, it's a taped show, and I was saying this on Twitter. Like, I guess I had forgotten it was taped, which is kind of interesting. I could have totally read the results on Friday night, but it definitely sounded like it was a taped episode. When people make the debate about SmackDown not being live, I'd be like, patooey, it doesn't matter. But I felt the difference. It totally does. It was the same crowd in Brooklyn, but Brooklyn sounded muted AF this week.
Because they were there for like 4 hours, and they're still coming down off that Liberty Championship last Friday.
I like a Liberty. No one talked about the Liberty in Brooklyn, though. Sad.
Nah, Barclays, home court.
True,
it was the day after the celebration. This was taped the day after the celebration.
I take it back then. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Like, so we opened tonight with Liv Morgan and Nia Jax meeting in the ring. Tiffany Stratton deciding who she's going to cash in on. Man, okay, like, I was thinking about this with Otis. I was thinking about this with Dominic Mysterio. Like, do the writers just make a bet, and or does talent like go to the writers and be like, hey guys, lunch is on me today. I just want to pitch you on a storyline idea that I'm an irresistible ladies man.
Wow. I mean, catering's free, but catering's on me today.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying though? Like, how did Dominic Mysterio pitch this storyline where everybody wants a piece of Dirty Dom.
Have you not seen that mullet, man? It is majestic.
It's so like, look now, Otis. Hope for us all. But with Dominic Mysterio, like, I'm not saying he's not a good looking guy, but that look is so ridiculous.
I mean, look, I've seen plenty of times I go to shows or I'm walking the street and I go, how did they get what Whole Foods did those old people meet? And so it could happen.
I mean, if in Vegas, when you see that, the answer is always money.
Oh, well, there you go.
So how did he? Money.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, just keep giving love to Bliss your life saving.
Just keep. I mean, good on Dom. Everybody wants a piece of Dom. That's what I took away from this segment.
Apparently not you. You're like, no thanks.
I think men see that in other men, like, and that just makes us hate them.
It does help. Yeah. No, you're right.
There's no game recognized game. There's no like, yo, what can I take from this and apply to my own life?
No, I recognize it. I just hate it. You know, it's like,
just
how? Yeah. What about me?
Yes, I think Rod Stewart wrote a song about it. But anyhow, this is what it is. Who do you think Tiffany Stratton? Does she even cash in tomorrow? And on who?
She has to. Mm-hmm. Because you have yourself a good old fashioned heel versus heel match, right? So somebody has to upset the apple cart.
Well, Liv Morgan took on Tiffany Stratton tonight, and Liv got the win. So maybe Tiff's successful tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, remember I said I think the weaker title is going to win. I think Nia Jax wins. We'll get the prediction later on. I think Nia Jax actually wins the match, but then she gets cashed in on.
Okay.
Because the question then becomes, if she cashes on Nia tomorrow, does she become Crown Jewel champion as well?
Oh, I mean,
gotta make every year special.
What if Nia tries to argue that you didn't win my title, you won my Crown Jewel championship? I think
it's actually kind of fun. I mean, you know, whether or not she takes one or both, or they have a title versus title match later on.
Yeah. Okay. This was a good match. Liv got the win. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But of course, after that, I don't know. Nia was standing tall at the end of this, though, in the post-match attack.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is that theory said by a very wise man on this podcast that whoever stands tall at the end of these things normally isn't victorious at the PLE.
That is not me.
Yeah, if you stand tall at the go home, you ain't winning the next night.
See, I believe that until I lived through the McMahon Helmsley era, where Triple H stood tall every night and won for months.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see. Anyhow, Pretty Deadly was there handing out playbills for Pretty Deadly the musical, including to one Mr. Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Does that matter that it's completed? I thought they were working on it. Now they have CDs.
I know, like
DVDs. I don't know.
This has turned into the Shining Stars, just handing out the brochures for their timeshare.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a very timely reference this week. I like it. The Shining Stars of the Caribbean.
Where are they? Where's their rebuttal?
I have no idea. No, but we should see the Pretty Deadly musical at some point.
I know. I thought they were in New York. Like, why couldn't they go shoot a vignette on Broadway? On the street on Broadway.
And so that's the problem I have with the tag team division, because we'll talk about A-Town Down Under too. Like, you have the bodies, but these two teams are just there to fill in simple banana peels. Like, this needs to have a conclusion. But
I went between Barclays and Broadway.
Oh, wow.
Pretty Deadly could have taken an iPhone and gone to the Museum of Broadway, walked around the theaters around Times Square.
The theaters?
Yeah, they could have done, like, I'm sorry.
Why'd you take an old black man at the theater? What? Yeah, you code switching, bro. Okay, what you're saying? I'm sorry.
Okay, like, but why? You need to reward long-term storytelling and fan interest. Like, you can't have this Pretty Deadly the musical. And I'm glad again they gave it to Lin-Manuel Miranda. Look, if Lin was backstage dressed as Dominic Mysterio and they were taking photos of that, you can't tell me Lynn couldn't have given Pretty Deadly a tour around Broadway and shot a little 5-minute vignette about how he wants to produce Pretty Deadly the musical. I need a payoff on this.
I think they forgot about it. Because
it does pay bills tonight.
what I'm saying is like, so usually when they do a second week in the same city, they don't really mention the town they're in. And they didn't for the first like 30 minutes. And then when Pretty Yellow came out, they're like, oh, right, New York, Brooklyn. Yeah, that's it. Like it felt like they want to keep this going as that being their gimmick. But I don't think it's their gimmick. It's a story. And to your point, it needs to have a conclusion.
It's really they're not going to get a tag team championship. So they at least need to get this.
Did you see that the tribble that Elton Prince is growing on his chest? My man, all right. Bringing back the old styles, just taco meat.
I'm not one to criticize the manscaping that anyone does, but for such pretty well-groomed men, chest hair does seem a little out of place.
It does. But maybe they're more manly than we are.
True. Well, the Street Profits won, to the shock of no one.
I'm shocked that it got B-Fab doing actual wrestling moves.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case 6 months ago. That's pretty cool. I'm not sure what her thing is because she basically scoop slammed Elton Prince. Or was it Elton Prince? Scoops like she was a powerhouse. And we'll get to that later. There's a lot of powerhouses in that women's division. So I thought, Brandy would be Brandy. B-Fab would be more of a striker or axe kick kind of person. So that was kind of weird. But it was kind of cool. She's getting more physical in matches. So
Indy Hartwell lost her last match in WWE.
Well, yes, she did.
Her and Candice LeRae tagged against Naomi and Bayley. Naomi and Bayley won, but at least Indy didn't take the pin.
She didn't take the pin, but come on, like it feels sad now, absolutely. But Naomi and Bayley, unfortunately, are so overpowered. They have to win. Like when there's ever like Nia Jax, they take so many losses. They had to win. We saw it coming. But what I liked about Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae is that even not being on TV frequently or recently, they still have chemistry, which is kind of a consolation prize.
Sure. Kevin Owens did a promo from like the back of a car.
Very indie. I love it.
But it was like all grainy and pixelated.
Very indie. I liked it. I tried to call you, but I just sent it to WWE so they could read it, so they could play it.
Wouldn't it have been made better by giant words on screen?
Should send him an email, man. To Dear Randy. It's fine.
Yeah, he's coming for Randy. Okay. You excited for KO versus Randy?
No. I like Randy Orton. I like Kevin Owens. I like the fact that Randy Orton's on his tour. Kevin Owens is a fantastic talent. But if, let's say you were strictly a Kevin Owens fan, and that was the only wrestler you were watching, here was somebody that got beat up a lot all year, got a title shot, didn't feel like he was deserved it, lost that one, and then snapped because why? Exactly. Do you not hate the bloodline anymore? Or is Cody that evil to you? I mean, Cody is a babyface. So if you're just now a hater, it's very confusing from a character standpoint. Yes. And it's kind of frustrating if you're a Kevin Owens thing. But you know what? Randy Orton has more years behind him than in front of him. So I'm looking forward to the showcase of the moves and holds, the actual wrestling in this case. Not every story has to wow me.
Okay. I mean, Randy versus Cody is where it's at.
Yeah, eventually.
I mean, we did just have Kevin Owens versus Cody. Mm-hmm. Kevin, like, begrudgingly did that match.
Sure.
I don't know, man. This is fine. This is a stepping stone.
For whom?
For Randy. This gets us a step closer to Randy versus Cody.
He's the apex. He's on top.
Don't ask me how. This gets us a step closer to Randy versus Cody.
And this is happening at the same time as the Bloodline warfare, or is Cody going to get sucked into that too?
Now you got to keep Cody away from that.
Okay.
Right,
so Cody needs real challengers, and they can't be Randy Orton.
Who else? Give me another good challenger for Cody right now. Give me a better challenger for Cody than Randy.
If Issa was here, she would say nobody. But that's the problem, right? Because after Randy, which will only go a couple months, it's like who? It's Logan Paul, really.
Oh, good Lord.
He's the only person I can think of who's on the roster, who's out of a title division, and who would be a money match, right? Now, unless you build somebody, it's Logan Paul.
Yeah. Okay.
As weird as he is.
Well, we had a little reunion tonight. Roman, Jimmy, and Jay coming face to face, and they put up their wands. And Roman didn't say anything.
He said he eat.
Oh, pardon me.
He said it. He was for weeks. He was like, no yeet. Now he's like, yeet. It's like Kane when he can talk. Suck it. Okay. That was a throwback. I'm sorry. No, I like this one. It was great. I mean, it was definitely filler in the case of, yeah, you're there for 4 hours. You got that bloodline story. It should have been in Saudi Arabia if that was up to me, but I get it. You know, you have the Jade, Jimmy, and Roman's like, I don't really trust you. And Jay's like, trust me, but we have to be equals. That's the kind of the classic cinema we want from the story, you know?
Well, we're just missing the most important Uso, which is Sammy Uso.
Well, I got flamed in the chat last week, so he's going to be there, and you need him to round up the thing, but yeah. Hey,
that's the War Games match.
Hey, here's a question for you.
Yeah, please.
I saw something on Twitter that the women's division, so it's totally factual. The women's division at NXT is so solid that they should have the women's War Game match. Hot take?
I mean, that 10-woman tag could be a War Games match. But man, what I wouldn't give for NXT to invade Survivor Series this year and make it a 3-brand Survivor Series. But since War Games, they're not really doing it that way.
Survivor Series has been on life support for 15 years. 19 was great. 21 was great too. But that whole concept needs to go out the window. Okay.
With NXT, was amazing.
It was. I actually watched it the other day. The P-Time match. Ada the Brainchild says, yeet is not an apology. And that is something I would actually buy if it was on merch.
Yeet is not an apology. So, yeah, the Bloodline's back, baby.
Are you excited or not?
I like the idea that they're all equals this time. They're doing it differently. But, you know, here's what I haven't gotten yet. Roman has not shared what he learned from all this time of reflection post-Mania.
What do you mean? Like, what would you want? A promo? A vignette?
Yeah, because he came... Okay, so Roman came back.
Mm-hmm.
Roman was gone. He didn't like what Solo was doing. He came back and was like, yo, I don't like what you're doing. But Roman was away after he was defeated by Cody. Then he teamed up with Cody. Now it's a new OG bloodline, but they're all equals. It's not about chiefs or leaders. It's about partners. But I would like Roman to kind of pontificate.
Postulate even.
Yes, on his reflection and his journey. Now we as fans can say that the Roman humbled himself and has come back, you know, a kinder, gentler tribal chief.
Right.
But I think he could do a really good promo, like a rallying cry for the bloodline. I think we'll get it ahead of War Games.
So what you said is 100% valid. And that was a problem I had with the bloodline story, now 4 years ago? Is that there was too many elements of being a tribal chief that was off screen. Like, we didn't really know what it meant to be a chief. Do you answer family questions? Do you do the taxes? Like, do you beat up people? Are you a crime syndicate? That was never clear. So the opportunities visually to show us what it meant to be chief are now all off screen. This is why we're fighting for the Ulafala and not necessarily an orphanage or anything like that. But that said, I do think when we do get that bloodline versus bloodline match, if it's at War Games and they run it back, you're going to get that promo to say, hey, look, I got kicked off the Isle of Relevancy. I came back. I look different. We're going to go take the crown or whatever.
Yes. Io Sky versus Lash Legend versus Bianca Belair versus Piper Niven in the Fatal 4-Way match.
I was going to quote Booker T, but I realized how creepy it is. I was like, no bread, no water, just me. But you can't do that with women's matches. That just sounds
really
weird.
can't.
But that said, 4 powerhouses in a matchup. You know, Io's physically smaller than everyone else, but that is something you wouldn't have seen growing up. I mean, Jade Cargill, the Last Legends improved by leaps and bounds. Bianca Belair, pound for pound, one of the strongest women in all of WWE, man. This right here is a marquee matchup. My match tonight.
It was good. What do you think is going to happen to Crown Jewel?
It's good. It's good.
It was good.
It's good.
I enjoyed it.
You know what? I slave in the kitchen all day to make some shepherd's pie, and it's good.
No, in fact, we got 3 women's matches on SmackDown tonight. I'm thrilled. That's like some NXT level of representation.
Well, again, I hate the idea of calling Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson the Meta Girls. It doesn't make much sense to me. But I will say this: Lash Legend was somebody that, of all the people who gets compared to Bianca, I was worried Lash specifically would be seen as Bianca light. But we're seeing now more than ever that Lash has come out with her own moveset and her own approach to the ring, which is what you want. The question now becomes: is the Meta Girls and Bianca Belair and Jade all can't be faces. I understand the Meta Girls are technically heels, but they're cheering for them. So someone has to do a hard heel turn. Which team is it going to be?
That's a good question. Who do you think?
Well, I was going to say the Meta Girls. All right.
Yeah.
But I was talking to Dylan Matthews, who's usually in the chat here. He was like, no, how about a Jade Cargill Bianca heel turn? We haven't seen Bianca turn heel since 2016, 18?
Yeah,
that'd be kind of fun.
But they're two face of the company, prominent.
So was Hogan.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I just don't see that happen with them. But I think that Lash, I think Lash and Jackson could.
Look, I like Jade Cargill, but they can't be together forever. So someone has to turn eventually. Right? What?
They can, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't want that to happen. I really like them together.
Fair enough. I'll still on this. Or give them a theme song that's combined. I love combined theme songs.
You know what they should do is add weather effects. So it's just like, I'm on my own.
I'm in. Tell me back
Against the world, lightning.
You remember Glacier from WCW? the snow? Give me all that stuff, man.
Remember the terrible mashups they were doing for tag teams like the Bray and Randy, where it wasn't even a mashup. It was just like, we're going to start playing one song and then fade it into the other.
Oh, yeah. I still sing the Show Miss theme song. Like, well, it's a big show. I've came to play. A big show.
Let's talk about this go home segment.
You mean Motor City Machine Guns? Oh, they're great.
Oh yeah, they were the promo backstage. They're champs now, and they had a promo backstage. They're
A-Town Down Under shows up. So that's what I was saying with Pretty Deadly and A-Town Down Under. These are the four guys that are the stepping stones of the brand. But I think it's time for other teams to rotate in and out. I don't believe Grayson Waller and Austin Theory just falling on banana peels any more than I believe in Pretty Deadly doing it every single time. It needs to be someone else in that mix.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you know there.
Okay. Sue, Ludwig, and Gunther versus Randy and Cody. Baby faces get the win. But then Kevin Owens shows up and beats up Randy standing tall after. Gunther beating up Cody standing tall. So using that logic, as discussed earlier, Randy and Cody are getting the win tomorrow.
Yes. I think when it comes down to that, no, what am I doing? We're doing predictions in a minute. Like I said, I'm sticking by the rule that the weaker championship division is going to get the dub. I think Gunther wins on Saturday. The World Heavyweight Champion is going to pin the WWE Champion because it's Saudi Arabia. You want to show this match means something. But I have a couple things. My notes. One, I do miss Samantha Irvin's Ludwig Kaiser. That's pretty cool. Two, man, this would be a great time to have Giovanni Vinci come back up, but I guess he's going to be separate. He's been missing for weeks. I'm not sure what his character is. And three, you have to use the big characters you have in Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes. I kind of wish Kevin, for his own intents and purposes, attacked them in a very unique way. Like if he had a special weapon or backstage or in the parking lot, something that's very unique to Kevin, I think it'd be a good character beat, but him beating up the guys at the end of the match is fine.
Yeah.
Ludwig Kaiser.
It's just, I was kind of, but isn't this funny that a week ago, or basically before this was taped, everyone would have been like, oh, Gunther's going to win and get that crown jewel championship.
He's going to win it.
I don't think he's winning. I think Cody's winning. If Gunther beat up Cody tonight at the end of the show, Gunther ain't winning. He got his moment tonight. Tomorrow, get Cody.
He lost the match. He's gonna win the match tomorrow.
Yeah, but it's not who wins, it's who's standing tall.
I'm telling you, man, he's gonna win tomorrow. Because what purpose is Cody beating Gunther? Right? Because again, Gunther has the secondary World Heavyweight Championship.
I know.
You got to sell that to the crowd because no one really believes in that, unfortunately.
But Cody's the golden boy.
Right.
I don't know.
What better way than to beat up? Not granted, I don't think
you just know everything. Flobo, who's winning Tuesday?
Oh, I don't know anything. Wait, what's Tuesday? Oh, wow, it's election day. Guys, I actually mailed off my ballot already. If you haven't done so, vote. Doesn't matter who you voted for. Please participate in our election. Our country depends on it. But anyway, what I'm saying is, man, I see Gunther winning.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong, then I'll just apologize next Friday.
Well, let's run down that card for Crown Jewel.
Wait. We got to say this. Of course, Crown Jewel is tomorrow, but make sure after Crown Jewel, you stick around for the Wrestling King after show. Jack Farmer alongside Emily May. I'm going to break down all the news and notes and results. These are the MVPs of Wrestling Inc. Let's do it.
Absolutely. So you think Gunther's winning over Cody?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. My money's on Cody.
And he pinned the WWE champion. I can hear Cole saying that.
Okay, and you think Nia beats Liv and then gets cashed in on by Tiffany Stratton?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But for what title, we don't know.
What about Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed?
I would sell my Pog collection to have Bronson Reed win. I think this guy could really be a marquee character, but he needs a run. I don't think the run is there yet. Seth Rollins is too big of a star. I got freaking Rollins over Bronson Reed, but I do think his time is coming. I
think it hurts Seth not at all to lose. I would give it to Bronson.
I would too, but it's not going to happen.
Okay, Randy Orton or Kevin Owens?
Randy.
Okay. What about the triple threat, Carmelo versus Andrade versus LA Knight for the United States Championship?
Wait, do you agree on Randy versus Kevin Owens?
I think Randy's going to win. But the problem is, though, if Randy wins, Kevin's heel turn doesn't mean anything. But you can't have Randy get beaten unless he's going to beat Kevin later before he goes to Cody. I don't know. It's very tough. Like, Kevin should win. But if this is about Randy versus Cody in the long run, Randy needs to win.
I believe for the triple threat United States Championship match, if it was my promotion, I would have LA Knight drop the title to Carmelo and then have LA Knight move up the card. But I do think this is really the first tour LA Knight's with that championship, especially after who had it last. I think LA Knight retains, but the longer you hold down both Andrade and Carmelo, the longer LA Knight looks stale.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know about LA Knight. Andrade or Carmelo. It's tough. Tough call. Probably LA Knight retaining.
Yeah, he's a heel. He basically drew these guys in to his match for no reason. He was a referee.
I mean,
he made a schmaz. Like, he's going to be a jerk.
Unless Trick Williams shows up to help Carmelo Hayes.
Why would Trick help Carmelo?
Because why did Bayley show up to help Sasha when Bayley debuted on the main roster? That made less sense, actually.
The NXT champion is going to go all the way to Saudi Arabia to get himself involved in the secondary title and to do what? I helped you, dog. That's it? Like,
and he's going to say it exactly like that.
You are trolling me. You're trolling me.
Okay. We'll see. We'll see what happens. What about 4-way tag team title for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship? Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair versus Damage Control, which is Kairi Sane and Io Sky versus Metaphor versus Chelsea Green and Piper Niven.
This here is the most house match show of the card. You got to give the Jade and Bianca. You're showing people that these are the strongest talents you have. How's how it's done.
Do they stack all 6 other women and pin them together in the ring?
I was going to say, of course not. But now I think about it, I was going to say I have Jade over Jakara. But yeah, stacking them totally. But if you do that, man, Damage Control has been pretty much rendered useless at that point.
I mean, the entire division is rendered useless if that's the ending to this.
Hey, look, I've been telling y'all that for a year, that I like Jade and Bianca, but they're champions of the weakest division of all of WWE wrestling. But everyone thinks they interpret that as being a hater.
But it's weird though, because if we brought back the NXT women's tag team titles, I would say you overnight will have a very strong division.
Well, NXT is different because they actually dedicate time, right?
I know, but we got rid of those titles.
Twice.
I know. Roman Reigns and the Usos versus Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and Tama Tonga in a 6-man tag team match, the precursor to War Games.
Solo needs to win this one. Last month he was one to put the pin last month. So like, if Solo doesn't win this, then you haven't sold me War Games at all.
But this like the original Bloodline has to lose to realize that Sami Zayn is the secret ingredient they need.
Sami Zayn or The Rock or a new character or
Sami Zayn is going to get a bigger pop than The Rock. Let's just be real. Joining the Bloodline?
Yeah, Saudi Arabia. I get it. I get Saudi Arabia.
The real fans, they want The Rock. I'm sure Saudi Arabia wants The Rock, but the real fans want Sami Uso.
Sami Uso. Oh, Lord. Day one-ish.
Regardless, it'll be great. And tune in to Wrestling Inc. after for all the coverage.
Whoa. Are you watching it live? Are you watching on delay? It is 8 a.m.
I'm going to be asleep.
Pre-show, 10 a.m. start time.
I'll wake up and tune into some of it. I can't go for middle of the day wrestling.
You can't? That's the best thing ever. You get up, you get some breakfast, the sun is shining.
I'm on my phone the entire time. Like, life's going on.
That's a skill issue. What are you talking about? Yeah. Is nighttime wrestling different? Are you not on your phone?
I'm on my phone the entire time, but I'm more engaged.
I mean, fair enough. I don't know. I like the fact that you can like play around with time zones. Like the Berlin show is noon Pacific, but 8 a.m., 9 a.m. wrestling, it's different. Can't do it all the time, but it's different.
Someone explained to me how Australia is a day ahead, but 4 hours behind me. How does that work? I don't understand.
I think they're like 17 hours ahead. So it's like a day plus some change.
It's weird. Hemispheres, man. Time zones. It's fall here. It's spring there. What up with that?
Are you doing your stand-up? Like, yo, what's the deal with seasons? Why are there 4 of them?
Anyhow, Flobo, a joy as always. You have a great weekend. Everybody out there, you have a great weekend. We'll catch you back here next week and tomorrow on Wrestling Inc. Everybody, be sure to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review, and we'll catch you back here next time.